stereotype or part 2 of the fictional elections. So, the first part, we talked about the davisan panhandle. I didn't know it would take up 30 minutes, but hey, we don't have to do an intro to a series, as if you watch part 1, you will be watching part 2 most likely, as well. If you're not, you're a new viewer to this series, and this is a fictional countries as well. So, my most well done country is the country of Davis. This is a fictional country that was created around 2018 to 2017, and I'm now finally sharing it with you guys. So which way are the davisan elections going? Okay, that's my world series, but the first state we'll be going over is Nostiak. So Nostiak is this country right here. No, not the country. This is this province or state right here. And it's a really weird-looking province as well. Again, Davis's provinces just look very, very strange as well here. There's also these provinces here. These actually used to have no lakes here, but I decided to give the country lakes. Because it's a pretty large country you'd think could have lakes in it as well here. So, but this large, massive province is Nostiak. The thing is, this province is one of the most liberal provinces as well. So this is the last election result for this state, and yeah, this is one of the few areas. Well, it's actually the most part, actually, besides KTM as well here. The most populated province voted plus 30. They voted did much higher than plus 10, plus 20 as well here. This state is not going anywhere anytime soon, as the suburban counties or districts are going westward. The suburban counties are going westward off a cliff, besides this one, and this is a more rural county. All these suburban counties, despite the big, huge county here going rightward, these suburban counties are going westward off a cliff as well. I don't think this is a state that's not going to flip. It's too liberal anytime soon. I think long term, the nationalists will not win the state, obviously. I think the best state for them long term is a state like Net, Potox, obviously, as well, and these two states down here, and of course, maybe even KTM as well, are the best states currently reviewed long term. But Nostiak is one of the better states long term for liberals, as it is a state that will likely stay in the safe blue column along with Grizzly as well. Again, demographically, the state is not very religious. The state is extremely conservative. Also, the state is mostly Catholic, but the state isn't very religious as well, as the average people who go to church as well is only 25%, and even Christians as a whole only really make up 57% of the population, which we actually have not covered this map, but as the church map is more accurate to cover voting habits and voting patterns as well. But this is, of course, half of people who go to church actually vote a certain way, and this state is going leftward off a cliff as well because of the lack of religion. But the surprising thing, the least religious part of the state trended the most rightward as well. The least religious part of the state, which is extremely non-religious as well here. This county is really only around 44% Christian. The entire state as a whole is only 57%, but it's mostly because of how low this county is as well in terms of religiosity as well. It is an urban area. But let's move on to the next state as well. And that is this state right here. This is an extremely low working class state as well. As you can see here in the last election, almost all of the counties besides the urban metropolitan area voted deep conservative, as this northern part of the state kind of votes like how the Deep South basically votes, okay? Because now we're entering the Bible Belt of the country. This entire area is basically the Bible Belt, okay? Kind of like how the South is as well. This entire area is a Bible Belt as well. Some people have even proposed the Bible Belt extends into these two areas right here, but this is basically the Bible Belt of here. And of course, as the extremely conservative, extremely Christian as well, the state's population has been on decline for a while. It is mostly a more elderly state as well as... Oh, actually, the state isn't that elderly. This is the average age. Actually, Nostiak is more elderly here, but it's still a large elderly population, mostly in the urban... This area is actually more elderly. Meanwhile, this area is more younger as it has a higher birth rate as well. But actually, this state was more elderly. But let's move on from that. However, the state, besides 2 counties, is extremely religious, okay? Besides this county here, which is only around 78% Christian, these are to 83%, 82% Christian as well here. These are kind of like the bellwether, these used to be like the bellwether counties, but the rest of the state has gotten so conservative that there isn't really much room for conservatives to really grow. And even kind of starting to see that in the SIFT map, because these counties are still very conservative, but they have kind of maxed out in these areas here. However, compared to this county here, which is the only county that kind of shifted massively to the left as well here, the state has kind of basically stayed the same politically, and it most likely will still stay the same, because yes, this county can veer off the left all it wants, but will likely still keep the state nationalist plus 10 as the rest of the metro, including this county, this county, this county, this county, and this county, steer to the left, and to the right as well. And this is even reflected as the population map. Like, this county doesn't really make up that much of the population as well. Okay, these counties, all of these surrounding counties kind of outvote it as well. And this is gonna stay a conservative state for a long, long time. Unless the Democratic Party either collapses or another party takes its place, the Nationalist Party will likely continue to keep the state for a while. And this is even reflected by the voter registration. Nostiak doesn't have a voter registration. This state does. 345,000 voters as well. And it's around 298 plus voter advantage as well. Even if Indies all voted for the Democrats, this would still be a 200k advantage for the Nationalist political party as well here. Next. So one of the most controversial states in elections is this state right here. Why is the state so controversial in Davisan elections? Well, I'll explain this to you. Meet Mosan. Yes, this state basically smashed between an extremely rural conservative state, an extremely urban state, and Naboni, which is another pretty urban state as well. This state is basically a mix of all three. And this state is basically the Pennsylvania of the country as well. Also, this string map is outdated, as we did fix the string map. We did fix the counties for the state as well. So this string map is outdated, but it's really mostly these 2 counties are kind of outdated as well here. But all of this area is shifting leftward, which is mostly suburban and urban areas. However, all of the rural areas and several suburban areas are still trending rightward as well. And this is one of the most contested states in the election as well. Even in the polls, they do not know who's really going to win this state, as it's a toss-up state, okay, as well. Because this part of the state is trending for the conservatives as well. Meanwhile, the rest of the suburban night state is as well. Here, you can see this reflected with the map. There's only a few hugely conservative counties, as most of the counties are actually surprisingly close, as well compared to Astor and Nostiak, its 2 neighbors. This county is becoming extremely conservative as well. And the thing is, the voter registration is not really reliable, as independents mostly make up most of the state, as this is actually an extreme indie state. As well, Indies have currently 199,000 there, and partisan voter registration is now starting to pick up steam in the state. For a long time, it was mostly a small but not moving partisan group of people. But the state's population has been declining for a while, so it has lost a lot of voters in the past decades as well. Here, it is kind of a salvage form of stealth as well. Here, meanwhile, the religion it is a it is basically 44% Catholic and 40 basically Christianity is basically 44% Catholic, 43% Protestant, and the rest are other branches of Christianity as well. And it's completely surrounded by free Catholic states as well. The state has also gained more Catholic as well in terms of the amount of Christians living here, as Catholics tend to vote more conservative than, as well. This is why you saw Catholics, despite them only make up around, 29% of the city's population, Catholics were the main reason why this city trended rightward as well. Also, unlike the state above it, which had 81% turnout as well here, this state only had a modest 60% turnout as well here, which means not many people really turned out to vote as well here. Also, this is the population map here. Most of the blue counties, this state is of course extremely close here, and you can see that with the actual elections here as well here. The religious makeup of the state, most of the outer portion of the state is still very religious compared to its two neighbors here as well. But the outer portions of the state, the rural portions of the state, are still very conservative as well. Basically, these are kind of like the rural counties, or this is actually suburban county. These are all the rural counties as well here, and these are the suburban counties, and this is and these are all the urban centers as well here. But this is gonna stay a swing state. I don't think it's gonna change anytime soon as well. Yeah, but there is a possibility this might become a blue state in the future if the trends in this area continue to go to the left as well. And now we're gonna go through the miscellaneous statistics. Which our one feed I haven't covered. This state was only won by 1.2. This is a. Oh wait, we don't have the Christian statistics anymore. Okay, it's the very first one. However, we're gonna talk about Mosan's twin state, which is the Boni as well. So the Boni is a very strange state. The state is trending left off a cliff as well. And this entire megalopolis here is trending left off a cliff, okay? Astor will likely be able to survive this, but Naboni is, you would think the state, given how Christian it is, given how religious it is, compared to its neighbor, as well, this entire area trended vastly to the left. This area trended vastly to the left as well. The thing is, a lot of left-leaning individuals from Nostiak and from Mosan, and even from the Astor metropolitan area, and even from other states as well, are moving into the state as well. Especially retirees love the state as well. However, not as much as, this state, these two states, obviously. But this is a newer state where retirees are moving to because it's way less colder than these states up here. And it is a state that people love to retire to. However, this state has had massive population decline over the past 4 or 5 years. This is actually one of the most surprising states, as well. It's a very religious, socially conservative state, yet they continue to vote a certain way. The state has no voter registration. As described above, the state is 40%, which means the state should be a swing state, but in southern Davisan, in terms of all of its relatively neighbor states, these are the three most comparable states to it demographically as well. Also, there's actually a fourth one, which is this state up here, but only 3 of these 5 states are as well. And gradually, this state is becoming far less religious, far more liberal. However, religiosity has declined massively in the state, but it hasn't declined softly like Grizzly has as well. Maybe in the next election, this state may surprise people and turn a corner, but given how its urban areas are shifting so far to the left, this state is becoming a deep blue state as well, kind of like its neighbor is. And wouldn't be surprised if Mosan eventually becomes a blue state as well here, leaving Ashton the only one of these 4 states to truly stay a conservative state. 4th state. So actually, I get these 2 states constantly mixed up, Case and Sarah as well. They border each other. Case, however, has far more people than Sarah, for some reason. However, Case is a very conservative state. 64% of people in the state go to church as well. The state shifted very far to the right compared to other states. Despite this, its urban areas continued shifted leftward as well, which could be a cause for concern. However, most of the very rural communities continue to shift to the right. And it seems the state is finally starting to warm up to nationalism and populism that's been going around in the state as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rural counties voting to, as well. We actually haven't really covered Mid-Doboni's, this state here. And this state has, has some pretty strange, results. These are like the rural counties. These counties are becoming are going to become deep conservative, kind of like, Astor's has become, and Case has become, and of course, when you get to these two states, liberals in the country do not like the trends of this state 100% as well here. I think they're kind of maxed out in these areas over here, like the Cantville, but this is just absolutely absurd as well here. And we actually used to have even deeper red counties, but it's just some of these counties, these are just plus 70 counties. We haven't really changed anything for the blue counties as well here. And these are 50 to 55. These are kind of like the safe counties, 50 to 60, 60 to 65, 66 to 69, and these are kind of 70 plus counties, 70% plus counties as well. So these are counties that are kind of just always going to vote, But this state is extremely conservative as well here. However, they're kind of getting maxed out in the actual important populated areas. And this seems to be a big trend as well. A lot of people are saying that this state is going to trend, more liberal, as demographically the state isn't very division as much. It's just as division as these 2 states above it, and these are close states. However, Davisians in this state vote far more conservative than these 2 states below it. Turnout, the state at 69% turnout. Population, density, population-wise, the state voted, there's a lot of green. I have that on this map here orange because it was very hard to draw it like that. There's no voter registration. The state is extremely Catholic, as well. The state voted plus 12. Extremely Christian as well, and conservative. However, the trends look pretty favorable for the Nationalist Party, all things given, as well. So, I think the state will actually stay a conservative state, unlike what some people are saying. Same thing with Gatink, like, it's rural areas. It's a primary rural state. Same thing with Net, which surprisingly, hasn't voted that way. And now we're getting to what the liberals really don't like. We'll be covering both of these states together as they're both extremely similar demographically. Cobalt and Borty. These are the 2 most conservative states in the country as well. So let's go over each here. So this is how they have voted. So Borty is basically conservative, basically the Wyoming of this country, okay? It's a massive conservative vote sink as well here. And even like the urban areas vote conservative as well here, which is a pretty bad thing for liberals because this state is not going anytime soon. Cobalt as well, this is kind of like the Rust Belt Iowa state. However, the state has zoomed so far to the right as it's basically not going back anytime soon. As well, I think a better example or comparison could be Florida, as well, a state that assumes so far to the right that liberals cannot dream of winning it anymore. And even the trends, most of the state, besides a few maxed out counties, was trended very little liberal as well here. And this state, it's kind of like you have a few like extremely maxed out counties trending leftward because they can't really gain any more voters. And the city voting like +1 more liberal as well here. And yeah, we talked about how both of these states, look at the populations of both of these states, look at how they voted, look at how they turned out. Kobo actually has voter registration, and actually, they have not performed a voter wipe since 2023, and the nationalists finally gained as well. And likelihood they're going to continue gain as Democrats continue losing voters as well. Both states are extremely Catholic, and both states voted far to the right of the country. Okay, as well. And both states are extremely, extremely Christian. However, one state that the Nationalist Party would be concerned about is Sarah. It is another very southern state, and for a long time, it was a extremely low agricultural state. However, growth in the southern part of the state has gotten the state to trend massively liberal as well. Despite the northern portion of the state trending conservative, this southern portion trending liberal is very, very concerning, as this used to be a very, very conservative area as well here. And it's actually quite unknown, besides maybe immigration as well from Rhodesia, the southern country below it as well. But other than that, this is just pretty bizarre, these results as well here. And the state isn't very educated either, so we can't say, oh yeah, these people here are college educated, because there are some states that are very conservative, like Tuv, that are very college educated, and they do not. And yeah, if you look at this here, I think we're on the wrong map. Okay, here it's college educated, but again, the state is not very educated. But again, Borty, the state we're not mentioned yet because we haven't talked about yet. Tuv is also kind of college educated as well, but again, more college educated states besides this state we not mentioned yet are usually more liberal states, with the exception of states where conservative colleges kind of thrive. However, this state is not very college educated. And a lot of conservative states in the country are not very college educated. The more working class states is why you saw a massive trend in another state we cannot mention yet. Why we saw a massive trend here as well, because it's a very, very working class state as well. Same thing with these states here. We saw a massive trend in these states which we're not mentioned yet. Here, but the state is still very conservative. Like, if every independent voted for Democrats, the state is not flipping, okay, as well. And we might see a rebound next election, as the state is still very religious and very conservative in most of these areas as well here. And yeah, it is quite confusing why these counties trended so far to the left, but there's a possibility in the next election these counties just trend back to conservatives, and conservatives win them again as well. Now I think we'll probably save these states for another episode as well. As I already get into the 24-minute mark. So yes, we really only covered one half of the southern portion of the country as well here. It is quite ironic that both Davis and the US have a southern portion of the country that is extremely conservative as well. Yeah. But yeah, this is the state we're talking about right here that is trending very far to the right, that is becoming a conservative bastion as well. So yeah, that is it about this video here. Goodbye.